So I have a few ideas on predicting who the final Smash character will be for the final DLC. And it's not really a super insightful one, just kind of using patterns that I've picked up on to see if that can help anyone else with better detective skills figure out who the next character might be a day early. But I'm sure by now there's probably leaks or some kind of information on that, so maybe it won't help out as much, but I just like to say it. I did have a prediction that I never recorded for Pyra. I would have gotten that stage right. I was really close, but yeah, that's in the past, and now I'm trying to do better about recording those ideas because hey, maybe you never know. I could get it right. I could stumble upon something. So, anyways, let's get to it. All right. So one of the things I've noticed is that there is a bit of a tiny pattern when you look at the characters that have been released for DLC since then. And granted, there's 5 in the first one and 6 in the most recent one, but I feel like and when you consider it a wave of DLC characters, I kind of loop Piranha Plant in with the rest of them. So it's really Piranha Plant plus those 5, and then after that is the 6. So that's how I kind of line it up. And so the way I do it is compare like who was the first released with the first release for the second pack, and so on and so forth. And there's some patterns, and then there's some stretches, but I'll talk about that briefly. Where the first of the two is, as I said, Piranha Plant, since I'm counting that as part of the first wave, and Min Min from Arms, which, yeah, granted, there's not much there that they really compare to, but Min Min is a character having a lot of reach, and I see Piranha Plant, or at least when I think about Piranha Plant, I always think about that down special where it scrunches up into the pot or the pipe and then launches out. So they both have some kind of reach to them. Also, they're both Nintendo characters, so that's also something. That's not a huge thing. That's not a big comparison. So yeah, that's again a stretch. Not to be too punny about it, but that's what I think their connection is. And after that, you've got Joker from Persona 5, and then Steve and Alex from Minecraft, which, again, two very different games. One is a role-playing game of, you're a teenager using some kind of metaverse to help save people and whatnot. I know some of the plot, and I don't really want to spoil it. It's just, it does seem like an interesting game. If you really want to go for it. But anyways, so yeah, so like there's a lot of fighting, a lot of scripted scenes, whereas Minecraft is almost the complete opposite, where it's you build your own world. There's no real script. You just go do anything. But they do have some comparisons. Like, again, in Persona 5, they have a world called Memento, which is in this kind of metaverse place, which, then there's, in Minecraft, there's the Netherworld or the Netherrealm. Or maybe they just call it the Nether. Again, I'm not too familiar with both games, but I know a considerable amount of them. Enough to get me by, at least. So they both have those kind of different worlds. Yeah, and I guess they're both, in a way, role-playing, whereas, in Minecraft, you just kind of become who you want to become, whereas Persona 5, you have to be that character. So there's differences, but then there's also things to compare, and I think that might be more Persona is a game that's big in Japan or really big in the East, and then it has also a big audience here in the West, whereas Minecraft is a pretty big game in the West that is found a lot of favor in the East. So like they both kind of intermingle in that way. Again, these first two are a bit of a stretch, but after this you'll see with Hero and Sephiroth, you have one from Square Enix, you have another from Square Enix, and granted they were both created before they merged by different parts of the companies, but still, the point is that you got two of their characters being revealed at kind of the same interval in this lineup. Again, counting Piranha Plant as part of the first wave. So I feel like that's an interesting comparison. And then it kind of falls again because then you have Pyra Mithra comparing to Banjo and Kazooie of the first Fighter Pass, and there's not too much comparison there. Like, their worlds are a bit different, but they do have an interesting theme of duality where Banjo and Kazooie, you really play as one character, but you need Kazooie because Kazooie is so much of the special moves and so much of the attack moves too. So you're playing as really both of them at the same time. So there's a bit of duality there. And then that's pretty much the theme for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Pyra Mithra being, kind of two people in one. Like they're really two halves of the same person. There is a line in the game that explains that better than I can. But also, when you see in the final Smash, they feature Rex, and they don't feature him a lot, but I feel like if Sakurai had his chance to like fully implement it where it wouldn't wind up breaking the game, then, we could have had something really exciting. And I hope in the next Smash game we get to see what that fully would have been, because just seeing in the final Smash, it's like, oh, I know it could have been so much better. But that's something for another time. So yeah, there is a bit of duality there, a bit of partnership that's interesting. So that might be part of the comparison, or that might be like a reason why they're lined up like that, though that could just be a coincidence. And then the next big one is Terry from Fatal Fury and King of Fighters being the second last of his Fighter Pass, and then Kazuya Mishima of Tekken being the second to last of his. They're both from fighting games. And I would have thought that it would have been a Mortal Kombat character, but the fact that it is a fighting game character, so I feel like there was a lot of comparison there. So that only leaves the question of who would match with Byleth. And to my thinking is that Byleth was a character from a recent game that just couldn't get in couldn't get in on the base roster, I should say, because they were developed too late, so there wasn't enough time to implement them really, or to know enough about them to put them fully in Smash Brothers. So what other games from Nintendo are like that? And well, there probably are a number that may be smaller hits. The only big ones I can think of are Pokemon Sword and Shield and the upcoming Metroid Dread. So with Pokemon, I mean, that's easy. You can add almost any Pokemon in there and just change up the moves, and there you go. And the starters, I feel like they would be a lot of fun. You could have Cinderace with a fireball move that acts kind of like the soccer ball item, where it just kind of appears, you kick it around, and it bounces and hits a whole bunch of people. So I feel like that could be an interesting thing. I'm not too familiar with the series, so I don't know what the other two are, but I know the grass type one has drums, which would be hard to see that character moving around, but it would still make it all the more exciting. And then you've got a character with drums, you've got Jigglypuff singing, all you need is a character with a guitar, and then there you go. You've got almost a full band there. And that would maybe lead up to the next Smash game where maybe Dante gets in and he has some guitar moves. Anyways, then there's the third one, who I do like the look of, the water type, because he's got that whole kind of secret agent James Bond thing going on. I feel like that could be interesting. There's probably other characters that are Lucario types, where they're just, characters you can get in the game, but like they stand out for whatever reason. And then there's legendaries that would be interesting to see. I know Zacian, I think it's pronounced, the legendary with the sword. That's pretty much just a wolf with a sword in its mouth. I mean, you could have a lot of fun there. So, maybe we could see something like that, or maybe something Pokemon trainer-esque. But yeah, it would be easy to put any one of them in there. And then from Metroid, that end, because it hasn't come out yet, I'm leaning less towards that, as I was before they announced that they would reveal the character on Tuesday, because I feel like if they reveal a Metroid Dread character now, they might spoil too much of the game before it's actually released. And, Sakurai's going to do his presentation and show you the moves, so it probably won't be that, unless it's the possibility of this new version of Samus with some newer abilities coming in, which I really wouldn't mind. I don't want to see too many of these like same character types like they've done with Link, where it's like, oh, we've got Link now, you got Young Link and you got Toon Link. Is if you change them up a bit more, I could accept it. But when they're just pretty much the same with slight differences, then it's not exciting, and it's really not worth paying extra for in this case. And I think Sakurai, sorry, I just came off from Naruto. That's what Sakurai knows. Because he cares about the games and making the characters fun. So I doubt that. But, a version of Samus that uses different abilities. So then it's kind of like the difference between Samus and Zero Suit Samus. There's very much different between the two of them. So then this new Samus could have some new abilities like the Phantom Cloak, I believe, is an ability they showed off. You could have, instead of the charge beam, you could actually have a beam that fires just projectiles, especially the Spazer beam, which I think they're now calling the wide beam, and that kind of annoys me. But there's a lot of abilities that they've shown off, and I imagine there'll probably be a few more new ones that are, for when you play the game. And then you can also take abilities from past games too, like maybe the boost ball or the speed boost plus shine spike. That could be an interesting 2 special move combination. So there's a lot of possibility there. You could have the Emmy, which, granted, it does seem to be a big part of the story, but I feel like that's more gameplay wise, and it might be a sense of like the true villain is this Chozo warrior they showed off in the second trailer. So I would actually really like to see that character come in, even if they are a bit too Samus-like. It would be just seeing like, how does a Chozo fight in Smash Brothers compared to how Samus fights, and it would be a lot more interesting than what they did with Dark Samus. Dark Samus had a chance to be different, but they didn't do that, and maybe they'll correct that one day. So yeah, there's that possibility of the Chozo warrior. Emmy just kind of feels like a bit like Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8, where, this is the one they show off the most. This is the one that people like. And then you're going to find out quickly that, oh yeah, you get through that part fairly quickly, or that character won't have as big of an impact as people may have hoped. But there's definitely possibilities between the two of them for that. But another thing I thought about was maybe they've switched it around on us a bit. Because, as I said, there are some stretches for characters like Min Min and Piranha Plant, or Pyra and Banjo and Kazooie. So it could be possible that one of them would actually fit that category of both ARMS and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 being developed a bit too late in the Smash development cycle for them to become full characters in the roster. So with Byleth being more compared to Pyra or Min Min, then suddenly that opens up these two other categories for how they compare to how the new character might compare to either Piranha Plant or Banjo and Kazooie. And so when it comes to Piranha Plant, I feel like that's more just the obscure character, or the character you don't quite expect. And if it's from the Mario franchise, then that kind of opens up the possibility of Waluigi, which a lot of people have been looking forward to. So maybe that's where the real hint is, or maybe it's with Banjo and Kazooie. Maybe it's another character that isn't a Nintendo franchise but has a history with Nintendo or being on a Nintendo console. So that could lead to any real number of characters. It could be Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden because they were on the NES, and then more recent games have been on different consoles. So it could be something kind of like that, or it could be a Microsoft thing where since Rare is owned by Microsoft now, which means Banjo Kazooie is now a Microsoft property, maybe that brings it in for Master Chief. And personally, I would like to see Master Chief in it, but that's just my personal way. Everyone has their own character they want to see in, so it's really going to be very close to call. But hopefully they'll do better than the how they ended it with just having Byleth. So that makes me think that maybe it'll be a bigger character, so it could fit probably in better with Banjo and Kazooie being that one character that everyone just really wanted to see and then finally got in. So maybe that's where it kind of lines up, is that they just switched that around since, don't save Banjo for last in the first wave because people are going to want him sooner. And then they end on Byleth, which is kind of like a bittersweet note depending on who you are and how you identify with the character. And so now that it's actually the end, then you, instead of having Pyra/Mythra last, which, would make someone like me happy, but may make most of the Smash community go, could have done it better. Then you put Pyra/Mythra in the middle, and then you take the one that would have lined up with Banjo and Kazooie and put them at the end. So then when that character is revealed, you go, yeah, now we're talking. So there is some comparability between a lot of the characters. So, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I mean, there have been a lot of people that have kind of gone down the rabbit hole of, oh, this character was teased in something else unrelated to Smash, but it was mentioned by Sakurai at one point, so maybe they're going to be in. And that's kind of the reason he doesn't talk about a lot of other games now, is because, people will look too deep into it. But there have been other cases where you look at Smash Brothers Brawl and in the and apparently in the clouds, and it was the same with Wii U. It's in the clouds of the Greninja reveal trailer. There's possibly hints of other characters. For Brawl, it was more hints of what's going to happen throughout the story mode or the bosses you'll fight. And then with the Greninja reveal trailer for the Wii U Smash, then there was a cloud that looked like Pac-Man. And so people were like, oh, maybe that means Pac-Man's going to be revealed next. And what do you know? Pac-Man's revealed after that. So, I guess there is some legitimacy to some of these things, but then other times it's just a lot of red herrings. And Sakurai can just, pull a rabbit out of his hat whenever he wants and just say, oh, it's completely unexpected, but here you go. So, hopefully this helps someone else maybe deliberate on who the character is going to be and find a definitive answer to that, or at least a good enough answer that could turn out to be true in the reveal. But either way, I'm excited. So, I look forward to seeing it, and I hope you look forward to the reveal too.